Hey, what is up to all you new dads out there? How's it going? Hey, for all you moms that just had a baby, welcome. For all you old timers that have been raising babies since you were a baby, well, how's it going? Hey, for all you young millennial dads that's trying to grow from the wisdom of us older men that got gray hair and hair coming out of our freaking ears, welcome. We love being in your life, sharing stories and wisdom and jolly and adventure with you. Welcome to another episode of the Sean Donohue Show with my bro, my homie, Jordan Steele. What is up, man?
Dude, it's so good to see you. We have had a gap between our last filming because you've been traveling the world, man.
My family and I have been doing some good things and doing some friends with some guys. I just had a guys weekend getaway to Lake Tahoe. I'm going to make a little video about it. And yes, my family went on a trip to Cancun, and you got a big family trip coming up to Costa Rica.
It's weird. It's been a couple years. We haven't left the country. People are getting antsy. The mask laws are all over the place.
Oh my gosh.
Did you feel a sense of freedom when you got to leave?
Oh my gosh, I sure did. It was so exciting. It was so adventurous. Like, we've been waiting 3 years. We saved our money for this trip. We went to an all-inclusive place. Our kids are older. It's like we haven't had a big trip in 3 years. How about you? How are you feeling about Costa Rica?
Honestly, I'm a little nervous.
Yeah.
I think I'm really ready for it, but I think the most thing I'm nervous about is them jamming the dang Q-tip up my nose for the test to get back. And not only me, I don't want to do it to my sweet little Down syndrome.
Oh my gosh.
The boy with Down syndrome. Like, I have to hold him down.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to do that. Was it bad? Tell me.
It was mixed. Yes, it was bad. I actually, the grown adult of the family, I handled it the worst. I started laughing and crying, and they just put it up my nose, but it just freaked me out. And I was feel like I was being tickled from the inside. And then in my 5-year-old, it was hard for her. And I actually asked the 2 female nurses in Mexico, has anyone ever tested positive? And you would be shocked at what they said.
Yes or no?
No,
yeah.
No, never. I said, Nuka, are you serious? And they said, no. They looked at me and they started smiling. You've never had one positive test doing this? No. And that cost a family of 6. I mean, that cost me $150 for that freaking text.
Yeah.
Right. Because we brought our mother-in-law.
$70 per one. I'm going to see if they'll just kind of go right here, and not up here. And
yeah. So just to prepare you, international travel is very challenging right now. We can make a whole podcast on all the challenges that we came up to, but man, my family, just like any normal family on any normal family trip, we had our ups and downs. Mm-hmm. Our kids are a lot older now than our last big trip. So wow, they had changed quite a bit. I wish I had done a few things. I'll probably make a podcast on tips to thriving as a modern family. We'll probably do something like that in the future, since we are both into that. But hey, today's episode is not about travel. It is about the parenting struggle of our generation. We are here to let's give you some tips, some tools. Let's talk about how we're going to thrive with these screens. Huh, Jordan?
So do you remember back when me and you, I was in high school and you were in your young 20s.
Yep.
You had your old Nokia phone. Remember?
Oh yeah, Nokia Snake. Phone. There was a game on there called Snake.
Game. Yeah. I remember one time you were going on a trip to Vegas and your radio got stolen, and you were listening to the Nokia tones on the whole drive to Vegas from What I'm trying to say is those phones were so limited. You play Snake and that is about it. Nowadays, it is insane. You could power like a nuclear submarine with these things. No. So you've been through every stage of cell phone in childhood. What have you seen?
Oh my gosh, how much time do you have? Right. So if you are actually struggling with screens in your home, we want to give you some support in this podcast, but also, you can go to my website when you get a lot of tools and support. I wrote an ebook on the Parent's Guide to Break Screen Addiction. I have some great tools of videos you can watch. You can come and talk to me in the Parents Club, or you could book a private session. But yeah, so here's a short story. So let's see, it was about 10 years ago, and I got an invitation to do a speaking engagement at Chevron World Headquarters. And at that time, the iPhone, I think maybe 2 was out at that time. And us parents, we had our heads buried in the sand. about what kids were doing on these screens. Now, what
What
was
year
that?
was this?
10 years ago, right? So we're looking at 2012. How old were you? And you were not a parent at that time. You were 2 years.
2012, I got married 2009. My kids were born in 2014. So yeah, 2012, I just got into Austin, Texas, living my best life, newly married, having a great time on 6th Street. So yeah, no kids.
Right. So in that time, the Xboxes, they were just still Xboxes with discs. And then soon after that, the Xbox became connected to the internet. So then that's why that changed everything, because now you can play with people at 24 hours. You're connected. You're playing with everybody. And going back in time, here's a couple highlights of that big talk. It went very, very well. At that time, going back, some of you might remember it. The biggest fear and concern that us parents had was content, not time. Content, like, are my kids looking at pornography? Are they going to get kidnapped?
Right.
If they talk to a stranger, like what is going on? Parents that were really tuned in, that's what they were afraid of. And what's really interesting is that I don't really do it anymore, but back in the day when I teach about screens, I used to talk about this rap group called NWA. Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
So
did they make a whole movie about those guys?
So they actually kind of changed the world, because they're a Miami-based rap group that came out in, like, I think 1989 with an album title As Nasty as I Wanna Be. And they were the first group to really sing about and like glamorize sex, drugs, having sex with prostitutes, hoes, hookers, being a pimp, and having sex and orgies and all this stuff. And the government and American parents, they freaked out. And they said, I don't want my kids listening to this. And so the government reacted. Big shocker. Actually, government did something. And the government came up with this label for the explicit label. And then soon after that, they slapped it, around that time, Playboy, Penthouse got it. So minors could not buy this album. Of course, if you're raised in the streets of Northern California, like I was, I'm being so dramatic right now, you would find ways to somehow go to Tower Records and get your hands on this tape and listen to the content. It was very grotesque and mature. But so it essentially became illegal for minors to look at or listen to adult material back in 1989. Good job, government. But now that label is totally different. You might go and listen to Drake or Tyler, the Creator song, or any Notorious B.I.G. song, or any type of, song. And it's going to have an E on there, but it means nothing. Your 2-year-old can stumble upon Spotify and start listening to that music, or your 5-year-old could stumble upon Pornhub and start watching anything they want. And big gatekeeper is the little check box that says, I'm 18 years and up. Check, right?
Right.
So we were very emotional back then, but really the key was parents just had their head buried in the sand. They didn't know what they were doing, and they didn't know how to talk about it. They didn't know what was going on. And then fast forward, I could go on and on this topic. Now, I think for the majority of us parents, the major concern is time, right? And it was already a huge issue before COVID. And then we give screens to everybody during COVID because we're trying to freaking survive and be connected with each other. And so now, it's time. Kids can go and go into Minecraft for 12 hours. And then, you tell them it's off, and they could sneak up and wake up in the middle of 2 a.m. And your 8-year-old could be sneaking on Minecraft or sneaking this screen or that screen, right?
I think it gets really interesting when it comes to the timing conversation and when that transition from the content to the time. I don't know exactly what it is. Maybe it was a 10-year gap, but now there's so much information coming out on how much time not only kids are spending on screens, but adults too. And there are apps now that will wake you up. It'll tell you how many hours a day you're spending on the phone. Some people are spending 8 hours a day, an entire work day, on their phones for whatever reason. Maybe it's for work, but what I'm saying is you're looking at this thing. I know, but it's my watch. I got to look at the clock. I got to see what time it's my alarm. It's my news feed.
Right.
It's my social feed.
I know.
It's hard enough for
time.
adults. It's hard enough for adults. How can
we teach things to our kids if we ourselves are struggling? Jordan, you said 8 hours a day. I'm not going to Google this in this show. I don't have an assistant like Joe Rogan to go Google this. But Jordan, when I was talking about this in 2015, a big research came out about what's the average amount of time our tweens and teens are spending on the phone. And that was in 2015. Guess what the number was?
Well, was it a day? What
The
would be
a-
the time from here?
How in one day, how many
In one
hours
day.
did the average American young person spend on the phone in 2015? Now, I really hope if I'm spending all this time talking about a stat, I really hope I'm right. That'd be super embarrassing at night. Any guesses?
I said 8 hours. It sounds a little high. Let's say it's 6.
9 hours. A
Oh, it's
teenager,
9.
9 hours a day.
Okay.
So if you do the math, it's like, what the heck? Like, how does that add up?
Right.
What are you doing?
Right.
Like, are you like 2 hours before school? Are
And
you on it
now
at school? Are you on it
Netflix
after
is
school?
on there. Amazon Prime is on
And
there.
now if you add up, their school time. I mean, we have this issue with we're a generation that most of us weren't even allowed a freaking TV in our bedroom. And now a high percentage of tweens and teens, including my own, they go to their bedrooms, they open up their school issued Chromebook, and you don't know if they're doing schoolwork or if they're just like screwing around.
Right.
And you don't know what they're looking at. And don't get me started. I mean, I've done so much teaching and talking about this. It really desires more than 1 hour podcast. But, part of the problem is that Google really screwed us. Google screwed families. It's all a money grab too, by the way, about how they try to convince schools that kids actually learn more from screens than they do actual books. And there's actually a lot of research done on this now. And they gave these kids, and it's still happening, these Chromebooks. But Jordan, maybe you're not aware of this. Can a parent put parental controls? And this is we're filming this in May of 2022. So if you're listening to this a year later, hopefully this has changed. And it is in the process of changing. But can a parent put parental controls on a Google Chromebook? Do you know that? The answer
I
to
don't
this
have
question.
a Google Chromebook, but you could put parental controls on iPads. You could put parental controls
You sure
on
can on iPads, but on a school issued Google Chromebook,
I don't know
the
that.
answer is no. Isn't that wild?
Wow.
Think about that. And people that are listening to this podcast right now are shaking their head
So-
either up and down or side to side. It's like, what the hell did you do, Google principals? You gave these devices to our kids, unlimited, loaded weapons. Like I like to say, a screen is the most powerful device in the history of mankind. It's more powerful than a bomb, a gun. Why? Because it has the ability to change your mind.
Yes, influence you and change your thoughts, and which then ultimately will change your actions. Real quick, I have a friend who did the opposite. He knows this stat, so I don't know if ban is the right word. He does not let his children touch a piece of technology when it comes to cell phones. They are not even allowed near it. So I feel like you're sheltering your kid there, because I have a debate with another friend. He's like, no, you can't hide it from them, because this is how they're going to make a living in the future. They have to learn how to use this tool.
How old are those kids?
They're about my kids' age, so they're probably 7, 8 years old right now, maybe 6, 7.
And these are great kids. They're totally adventurous. They're outdoor kids, aren't they? They don't need a screen at 7 and 8.
No, they don't need a screen at 7 and 8, but I'll tell you what, everybody listening right now who has a 7 or 8-year-old has kids on screens. And think about this. You go to a restaurant, you got a baby, maybe the baby's 2, 3 years old. You're trying to have a meal out with your significant other. You haven't seen each other outside of like being a parent in years.
Oh my
and you
gosh.
just want to go on to a meal and have a date, and your baby's acting up, and you're like, hurry, cram the food in. No, let's give them a phone. This will give us time to connect for 30 minutes.
Right. Hey, no judgments to those parents. No judgments to those parents.
It starts there, because I've had
But it starts there. Then you're shopping in Costco. You're giving it here. You're giving it here. You're giving it here. You're giving it here. And oh my gosh, there is now actual scientific evidence about all this stuff. And guys, we've got to be better for our kids. And this is why we're doing this, right, Jordan?
Yes. So, I mean, why do you think this is so challenging? Can I give my personal thoughts?
Please do.
A couple things.
Tell us, why are screens in 2022 so challenging? You tell me your thoughts. I'll tell you mine.
My thoughts are, every company out there is trying to get your attention in some way. So what they're doing now is the way they're editing and the way they're trying to grab attention is faster. The dopamine hits to the kids is easier to obtain in a phone while I'm sitting there for 15 minutes rather than try and go outside to be bored. I could tell you a quick story about that. I took my youngest son to his horse therapy, which was hippotherapy. The other two were with me, and they were like, can I have a phone while we wait for Kinlan? Can I have a phone? I said, no.
Yeah.
I said, no. I said, no. I said, no. And they finally went off and played. And they came up with this cool contraption. They were being creative, and I stopped them in their tracks. And I said, you guys, do you realize what you're doing right now? You're being creative. So
yes, you are.
we have lost the sense of creativity because we're watching people be creative. We're watching someone paint a canvas on a YouTube.
Oh my gosh,
we're watching someone shoot a basketball from half court over and over, and they're not going out to practice. So I think dopamine, patience, those are huge. And then now we go into, they're trying to steal more time. So now we're creating this metaverse where you could buy real estate in this digital world.
Right.
You can live your entire life in a screen and not have to talk to humans.
So sad. So scary. So sad.
So you have to like overcome the urge of, it's almost like eating. It's like when you get hungry, you go to the fridge and you eat. And there's this hunger for a screen. So now you have to go on a diet. And it is really hard for people to shut things off. For kids and for adults, but it's almost, you have to create some kind of boundary because the companies aren't going to do it who are trying to get our attention.
No, they're not. They don't care about us. That's why Snapchat has streaks, because your modern teens and tweens, they don't want to break these streaks. If you're familiar, where every day we're sending snaps to each other. And just one of a million examples of what you're saying. Brilliant words, man. Thank you so much for sharing that.
So can I get your thoughts?
Oh gosh, I actually don't want to share my thoughts. I just want to listen to you talk for an hour.
I mean,
I'm honestly like just so into this topic, and I know most of you listening to you are too. So, okay, so after working with your sons and daughters for 23 years and doing a lot of teaching, reading, a lot of listening, I've been able, and I teach this in my classes, which you can see on my website. When you think about parenting, you've heard me say this before, everybody. Remember, it's never about what it's about. Screens are not about screens. And I actually don't think they're about dopamine, even though we know that that is a huge part of what it is the brain chemistry of the mind and how all these colors, this music, and whatever it is connecting in this, creating a drug-like effect. We know that is a fact. But really on a deeper level, what I think screens are about is really about two things, which are actually the same things. They're about emotions and they're about identity.
Identity's big. I 100% believe in that. But what do you mean by emotions?
Everybody likes to feel positive emotions. And what we do with my work is I'm holding up this paper right now, and all my clients and people in the Parents Club get this magical paper. We all want to feel our desires met. And our desires are not talking about like what you might think of sensual or sexual desires. We're talking about what's on the desires that are listed on this paper. So for example, I'll read a few of them. We want to feel safe, secure, significant, supportive, trust, known, useful, validation, commitment, comfort, competition, competence, connection, creative, artistic. And we all want to feel different desires, right? Over others. Like some people want to feel more creative than other people. Some people want to feel, right?
Yep.
So you're taking a young mind into this world of color and screens and unlimitedness, and it totally makes sense. Hey, you get to go into this imaginary world of Call of Duty or Fortnite, and you get to shoot things, and you get to have challenges, and you have to have obstacles, and you have colors, and you have music, and you can fail. Ooh, I failed, but then, ooh, I get to try again. Ooh, I got successful. I feel good about this. Oh, this feels so good. I feel thrilled. I feel playful. And oh my gosh, now I get to play with my friends. This is great. Okay, mom, I'll be there. I know, mom, hold on, I'm coming for dinner. Wait, mom, it's not ready yet, mom, right? Totally makes sense. Emotions. Does that make sense?
So it makes 100% sense. Identity's big too, because you create these avatars, or you create these profiles that might be really good. Maybe you're really good at a game because that's all you're doing. You're sitting there, you're playing it over and over. You're getting really good at Fortnite, and you've got this level that you're at. And so you have these positive dopamine hits or this emotion of like, I'm successful. I'm a successful player.
Yes.
Then you go to the real world, and maybe you're a kid with acne and you get picked on at school, and it's really tough. And then there's failure. But there's this one platform that like gives you that emotional boost.
Exactly.
So I see where you're coming from there.
Yeah. So
how do you
we also don't want to feel bad emotions. We don't want to put our buttons pushed. We don't want to feel insecure, disconnected, lonely, stupid, dumb, no,
but it's important
rejected.
to learn those things. It's
right. But this is the challenge of screens, is that it's an illusion of human reality. And it's so tempting, no matter if you got the geek or the jock, you got the emo or the screamo. That rhymes, but whatever. It's like, it's just so tempting. And it's like a kid living in a candy shop. And then what's happened is that if you have a parent who's letting your child have unlimited screen time, you're literally saying to a child, hey, I trust you to make good choices. It's all unlimited, no consequences. Good luck.
Right.
And in my 23 years of working with your kids, I have found that there are a lot of middle schoolers that can manage their own screens. But when I say a lot, I'm probably talking about somewhere around 25% maybe. So I don't have an exact Excel sheet for you, about 75%.
Honestly, that's probably the same as adults too.
75% of middle schoolers and ninth graders cannot manage their own screens. And this shouldn't be a big surprise, because when your kid was 2 and 3 years old, they gave you a temper tantrum because they didn't want to eat their freaking fruits and vegetables and their healthy meats. And we said, good parents said the same thing. What did parents say about the palate, Jordan? When you got young kids, what do you say
about the palate?
Okay.
Try new foods, just eat it. Finish your dinner. It's
yes,
good for you.
Yeah, we would say those things. And then my question kind of sucked. We would say, I didn't even alliterate very well in the question. Say they're crying because they just want to eat their treats, their ice cream.
Yes. Okay.
So then that's my question was not very good. So we would all say to them the same thing. Guys, you were there. You remember those days? Some of you that have young kids, you're saying it today. You just said it. And now you're cracking up because you're like, holy crap, is Sean living in my house? You can have your treat after you eat your healthy foods. That's a great way of understanding screens. They are not life. They're never going to be life. They are a powerful part of life, and they are a privilege. They're not entitled to these screens. They're not going to die without them. And most of our kids do not have the emotional maturity to manage their own screen palette. So
I've been more mindful about trying to not, and I've been bad at this the last couple of times, not gonna lie, but like I'll do bath time. It's bath time. Okay. We're in the bath. Let me get on Instagram real quick and catch up. And what do the kids do? They're sitting there looking at me on a screen.
It's so hard, right?
Okay, so I need to put it down as well, so I can teach them from example.
Right. So hard for all of us. So this is a human issue. These screens have changed childhood. They've changed adolescence. They've changed parenting. These screens have changed what it means to be a human being.
Do you know who, what is it? It's a famous YouTube kid. It's like Ryan's Toy something.
Of course. Yes. Like number one YouTuber in the world. I
remember watching him when he was just playing on playgrounds, and his parents were following him on a playground with their phone everywhere. I'm like, how creepy is this?
Right. Yeah.
From a parent.
Right.
And now they're multimillionaires. So who am I to talk? But what I'm saying
is,
this has totally molded this child now into a way that I don't know how it's going to turn out. This is a huge experiment that we're all doing. Look what happened to Macaulay Culkin.
Oh my gosh, good point.
These kids who are famous and have all this fame is not good.
Well, that's why identity comes in, because if you look up the psychology of like Maslow or Erik Erikson, there's all these OGs that have already determined like these stages of adolescent psychology. And one of the things you think about when you're in middle school and you're in early stages of high school is like, who am I? And what type of crew do I want to associate with? Because that's who my identity is. That's my brand. Right. And so when you were growing up, we actually did a podcast about it. Who are you? Well, Jordan was a football player. He was known as a football player, an overall nice guy. That was like your brand. Right. And I changed my brand.
But I didn't even feel like my brand was that, but yeah.
And I changed my brand numerous times in high school. I started off as a star basketball player. Then that brand went away. So then I tried to sample with a little bit of drinking. That didn't go well for me. And then I moved over to try to be a surfer. I was like, I hated surfing. You didn't even know this, Jordan. When I was in high school.
Guy with big green board in the beach. You're a hazard to yourself and everybody.
Jordan's remembering a great story, buddy. Hey, about a time I was surfing so poorly that the lifeguard yelled at me because I was embarrassing myself. And he's like, what are you doing? So I was a sucky surfer for quite a while, and then I became a moderate surfer. Anyways, Jordan, you digressed. Jordan's a great athlete, a great surfer. So anyways, So back to what I'm freaking saying, Jordan, let me tell my story. So that was my brand. So this is what's going on. So then I changed my brand and something in junior, senior. Your kids are to fit who I am. And,
Mhm.
we don't, we want to be able to help our kids develop a healthy identity, that is based on healthy things. And I can't tell you story after story, Jordan, everyone here, of these horrible, sad things that kids have told me about how they feel about screens, their relationship with screens, their, connection, their unhealthy connections with screens. Remember, screens is never about what it's about, everybody.
Yeah, shoot, man, that's scary. Because they have more of a relationship with that. Think about when you lose your phone, how you feel. Think about it, right? You're like, oh my gosh, I lost a piece of myself. And it shouldn't be like that. Like, I wish I could just get rid of it. I really
Me
do.
too. Oh, me too. And I'm like, at this point I have 225,000 TikTok followers, and
Right.
I kind of want to get rid of it, but I don't want to, because this is what we do for work.
That's why I'm
This is
worried
what's
about
happening.
the next generation, because we have to teach them how to use it, but we're going to go even deeper into it. How do
So
you, I want to keep going, but how, when you teach a kid about identity, the things you listed were very earthly and very, popularity based on on your identity. So how can you
okay.
teach them that their identity comes from within and not
Oh,
from
that's for another
external?
podcast, because one of the top like 5 parenting tips I would ever tell to parents, it's so deep, many parents don't even understand it. It's so deep that many parents even get fear from it. And that's for a different episode, or for the Parents Club, or the videos I have there. I think one of the most important tips is, how do we help our kids? Because essentially it's their job to do this. How do we help our kids to develop a positive esteem and identity, not based on their performance, their sports, their
Right.
positive behavior, just based on things that no one can ever take away from them. Like, I'm a human being. I'm a son.
Right.
I'm a daughter. I'm a brother. I'm a creative. I'm a musician. I'm an outdoorsman. I'm a child of God. I am
Yeah.
a human being.
See, those are healthy.
I'm a young person that has value and worth and has a bright future. I'm a friend. I'm a
Yes.
dog mom, right? And it's not like you're who are you? I'm a softball player. No,
Right.
no, you're a young woman who
Yes.
happens to play softball right now.
Correct.
And you got to keep that in perspective. Right. And so that's for
That's
a
really
different
good. That's
podcast.
good though. That at least gives me somewhere to kind of start thinking about how to have they mold my conversations with my kids. And we'll get into a deeper podcast on that because I really want to get into that. But do you find it hard? I mentioned Ryan's toy review.
Yeah.
You have all these TikTok followers. You're on TikTok all the time.
Yeah.
Do you find it hard to lead by example? Like, you using your phone for TikTok is one of them, but you're using it around your kids all the time. So do you feel like this is a bad parenting move?
Yeah. So I feel like I'd be curious to see how my kids feel about my relationship with my screen. I feel like I would guess that they would say Sean or Dad, Sean, Sean Patrick, Dad. I really, when I'm around them, when 5 o'clock hits and on the weekends, I'm really not on my screen very much, and I don't really want to be. I
Yeah.
really
So
kind of have my screen time, and it's not during family time. And this is why, I don't really respond to these comments, because even
right,
though
there's
people
no
tell me
time.
to, is I don't have the time, man. It's
No,
like,
don't
you
do
really
it.
want me to respond to 500 comments on a video? Or
Yeah,
would you
or
rather have me
someone you
be
don't
with my
even
freaking
know.
kids and my friends and having a
Yes,
barbecue
live your
and
life.
kissing my freaking amazing wife?
Correct. So other than TikTok, what else do you use screens for?
So big fan of fantasy football.
Okay.
So big fan of my fantasy football name too. Can I tell you my name? There's
Yeah.
a famous athlete from the 80s called Bo Jackson. So my fantasy football name, because I'm the commissioner of my league, take it very seriously, is called Bro Jackson. So and I do like Facebook still, because I'm just old school. I get some news on there. But yeah, I do like TikTok because I get a lot of little snippet things. That's my favorite thing right now. How about you?
I want to give you make
Yeah.
sure I point this out to rub it in your
Okay.
face, but I won first place in my fantasy league this year, so that was a big win. I know I used
What
to be
your
on
please
all
don't tell me your team is Jordan's team. Honestly, if your team is Jordan's team, I think this could be our last episode because like you just ranked so low. Please don't tell me.
it's Jordan's best team. No, I'm kidding.
Oh.
No, it's football nerds.
Oh, dude, we used to
Football
play
nerds.
football before you actually left my league because I've been
Yeah,
the
I know.
commissioner,
Football
and that
nerds.
was the team name there.
You know why I left? It comes right to this conversation because
Why?
my time was divided
Yeah.
and not spent
Yeah.
in my personal life, and I couldn't focus on them. That's why I don't have Snapchat.
Yeah.
I try to limit when I'm on
Yes.
social media,
Right.
and it's really important for me to just keep up a good headspace.
You know, man, it's the same reason why a lot of wise adults that don't keep alcohol in the home because they know themselves and they know the temptations. And so they don't keep alcohol in the home.
Right.
It's the same reason why I didn't have even Instagram on my phone for so long because I got into it and it just sucked me in and all the temptations and the negative stuff and the evil and all the crap. I was like, unfortunately, I'm not mature enough in my life as a 29-year-old man to have Instagram right now. And that's where I was on that topic because, you know, we're all imperfect. We all have temptations. We got to know ourselves.
Yeah, and I need to cut back on Instagram. I've been going there too much, and I just know it. But since
dude, I love your Instagrams, dude. I'm biased, dude. You talk about weather. You're talking about all this nature stuff. Like you were talking before this podcast, we started recording about some crazy stuff about how they're finding plastics in our blood.
Oh yeah,
microplastics. They're finding plastics in babies' blood, right?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. So what do you? So what do you like to do on screens, or what type of genre you like? Outdoorsy stuff. Like I watch a lot of fishing stuff on TikTok. I watch some comedy. I watch business stuff. I watch some fatherhood or parenthood stuff. What about you?
I love the parenthood stuff on Instagram. I always try to send that to somebody. It's just funny ones, people messing with kids. But for apps, radar's big. I look at the weather all the time since I'm in the weather field. So radar scope's a big one. And then a lot of hunting stuff. So I've got, wildlife cameras that I can access through my phone. I've got
fun.
a hunting app, on it. So it's stuff to help me enjoy my day-to-day life. It's nothing to enjoy through my phone. I don't go to my phone for pure enjoyment. If I am, I'm looking at Instagram for a couple of minutes. But other than that, it's a tool to help me propel my personal life.
I've been saying as we transition here, here's what I've been saying a lot recently. I can give you all some of the greatest parenting tools of all time. I could also give you a chainsaw and a gun. But these are very powerful things, and they all really muster up a lot of emotions in human beings. So you might have heard me say this on a podcast before, is really parenting is never about what it's about. And when we use these tools, which I'm going to give you in a little bit about how to thrive with screens in your home, remember that to thrive with parenting tools or a chainsaw or a gun, you have to thrive in your own emotions, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you can't be a great firefighter or police officer, if you don't know how to really or first responder, understand the emotional complexities in very real senses, in my opinion, it really kind of still relates to parenting because these kids drive us nuts. They get under skin. They bother us. They freaking annoy us. They make us feel so ashamed and guilty, and they make us feel, they affect us. I shouldn't have said make us. I hate that saying. I don't know why I said it. We're influenced by them so much. So parenting is so emotional, isn't it, my man?
100%, man. It's the hard part is not only controlling your own emotions in just whatever event you're in, but it's making sure that the emotions you are portraying are the proper ones that don't trigger off more emotions for your kid. The kid gets mad, and then I get mad, and then I get mad at the kid, and he gets even more mad than I get, and then it's just a chain reaction.
Oh my gosh, I actually help parents identify this cycle, what you just described on like page 11 of one of my packets, where you kind of can actually label us this cycle, right? What you just described. So since we know that our kids are very connected to screens because of their emotions, their identity. We know that us parents, it's the same way. And so here is a question for you. When your kids are Jordan, when their kids are abusing screens, when your kids are not listening to you because of screens, when your kids are doing stupid stuff on screens, which they're so young, they haven't probably done a lot of stupid stuff yet. You and your wife, Danny, you guys get emotional because you're freaking human beings, and parenting is very emotional. What type of emotions or buttons get pushed for you? And I asked Jordan to look at the Being the Best You packet, which is available through the Parents Club, and to pick some of the words, because understanding your own emotions is going to help you to know yourself, manage your emotions. We don't control our emotions, we manage them. We can't just control them like a light switch and turn them off. We can control so much of our behavior and our words and our thoughts, but we can't control our emotions. We manage our emotions. What words did you pick? What do you feel in parenting with screens, my man?
Okay, I'm going to list all of them. And the number one word I chose is a
oh, leave that for the end. Leave me in suspense.
Well, it's the same one I've been using whenever else we bring this up. It's the number
okay.
one.
Okay.
It's fear of being fear of failure as a parent, right? So failure is my number one, no matter what it is. As parenting, I fear that I will be a failure, and I don't want to be.
Mm-hmm.
But you feel disconnected,
mm-hmm. Okay,
worthless.
Okay, why do you feel worthless?
Because you try to invoke wisdom or give advice, and they don't care about it. They don't want to listen to it. They would just rather get back on the phone.
Oh my gosh.
Or hey,
hold on, man. I'm not ready to move on right now.
Do you want to go play? Like I asked one of my kids, do you want to play? And he's like, no, I'm playing video games with Mark on the computer. And I'm like,
so painful.
Oh, I feel worthless.
Oh, it's so emotional, dude. You can see in my face right now. We feel your pain. Okay, you got failure, disconnected, worthless.
Helpless. Like you're up against this is a David and the Goliath type of story.
Oh
like,
my, oh my gosh.
Are going up.
I just don't want to talk in this podcast. I just want to listen to you. Oh my gosh. I love you so much. And I love our podcast. Here we are, man. We've known each other for so long. I know I'm changing the subject. I'm just broing out. I have a bromantic relationship. And this podcast is like an excuse to hang out with my homie. Like
it's a good
even
excuse.
If just your mom, Velvet, who's incredible, listens to this. Love you, Velvet.
Totally worth it.
And my mom listened to it. My dad's not going to listen. So I might have one listener. My wife won't even listen to this. So even if we have two listeners, your mom and maybe my mom, but she doesn't listen to podcasts, your wife will listen. So okay. Even if two people listen to this podcast, it's worth it to me to listen to you talk. Okay, please continue.
So helpless, because we are going up against a Goliath of a problem here, screens in front. And so how do we come up as little David trying to beat this Goliath and trying to teach as much as we can, because they're going to get released to the wolves whether you like it or not. And so they have to come up, they have to be able to manage themselves after they leave the house. You only have so much control, even if you want to say you have control up to a certain age. You want to make so anyway, that helpless and hopeless.
Okay, hold on. You went too fast. Helpless is a big word.
It's a big word.
Hopeless is a enormous word.
And I don't want to feel hopeless. That's low on my totem pole, because I still feel like there's hope and I still feel like I have a chance. But
okay, why do you feel hopeless?
You feel like you're losing that battle, and you're like,
oh yeah, it's so emotional, dude. So then what happens is that we as parents, we get emotional, and then stupid stuff comes out of our mouth, and we do our reactions, and we yell, we snap, we lecture, we pep talk, we scold. Or we people please, we avoid, we enable, we make excuses, we caretake, right? Those are all reactions.
I'm still trying to figure out from the parent's perspective when I should have the parenting be easy in this moment I'm in, or needs to be difficult because I'm trying to teach a lesson after the day I've had. So I'm like, it's gonna be so much easier. Just he did something I didn't want to do. He went on this website, or she was on the computer when I told her not to be, but I can't follow through and be stern and do the parenting thing because I'm just so tired. So let's just whatever. Right.
Man. Yeah. It's a balance, right? Yeah. We want to, like teaching moments never happen in the moment. When is a good time to speak? When is it time to command and control? When's it time to just chill out and let your kids, do their thing? So confusing. And then you got another problem because you might have a partner or a spouse and they might have different feelings than you. Right. Like, why are you letting, like, I hear it from my wife often, Danielle, Sean, why are you letting Kenzie be on a screen? Right. Because I love it because my daughter has a playlist and we rock out to her playlist. And you know what? She actually changed the name of her playlist, Jordan. You know what she changed it to?
Playlist is like a song or a YouTube.
Oh, no, a Spotify. I'm sorry. Thank you. It's a Spotify playlist.
So she's listening to music.
Yeah, we listen to music together. She's not really on a screen.
She's
yeah, but do I look at you might see if I'm watching this on the video, you don't want my daughter. She's still on a screen. Sometimes she changes songs. Well, and sometimes on Spotify they have the music. Or she's then sneaking it, looking at pictures or playing games, right? It's like a gateway.
Yeah. Right.
So she changed her playlist to the title of the now playlist is Kenzie Rockstar with Father.
Oh, that's adorable.
That's what she named it.
So you're the good parent.
I mean, it's just your like wife has to be the bad it's parent. One of the most loving things anyone's ever done for me in my life is make a playlist named after me at age 5. Like, I don't know. That's so heartwarming. That's my success story, by the way. Like, yeah, but it's like, it's like this is now becoming a part of our relationship. And partly why she likes going fishing with me is because I sometimes let her play on my phone while I'm fishing. But it's like, okay. So those are your emotions. Can I tell you a couple of emotions I feel?
Your emotions, yeah.
Okay, so
I'm gonna plug.
I feel scared.
Okay.
I feel ignored.
Okay.
I feel disconnected. And I really want to talk about 2 of these feeling words, okay? These are the really powerful words. And I can't wait to get to the Ask the Family Coach section. I feel confused. Also, I think you said I feel confused. I feel confused.
That's a good one. Yeah,
I don't know what to do or say sometimes.
It's a confusing time.
Especially as my kids are getting older. I got a 7th grader and a junior, and they both have very healthy, trusting relationships with their screens. And my 5-year-old do because I practice what I preach. But it's just so confusing. And I'm actually trying to make you laugh right now by saying something. Okay. If Sean Donohue, the freaking family coach, who's been on the front lines of this for this long, feels confused, what does that mean for everybody else? Right?
David versus the freaking Goliath.
It's like me asking Jordan Steele, meteorologist on the Weather Channel, which I was thinking about this as I was pouring my coffee this morning. You're one of the top meteorologists in the whole world. And I ask you a question about the weather and you say, I don't know, it's kind of confusing. Like, Jordan, what the heck, man? If you can't figure this out, well, what does that mean for the rest of us?
I mean, it shows us that we're still only human and we're still kind of practicing.
It's a dance. It's a dance. Yeah. Your kids are not bonsai trees. We can shape to be them. They are these wildflowers. That's why this, my ebook is so powerful. And the course that comes with it, it's so cheap. I actually have identified 12 stages of screen addiction. And it's super deep and it's super true. You can actually open that book right now, that book, and you can actually see what stage your kid is on and why they're on that stage. And then the other part of the ebook, or the class that comes with it, is 12 ideas to break screen addiction and to kind of build trust. And I'm going to give you some of those goodies for free right now.
Can I ask you if what I'm doing works? Real quick.
I don't know, but then I don't want to be like, what am I going to say? Like, no, man, that's stupid.
Well, this is going to lead us into Ask the Family Coach. All right.
All right. So, yeah, you ask, and then I will think about how I want to respond.
Okay.
But here, before you tell me this, for those of you listening at home, listen to this. Having a healthy relationship with our kids, teens, and tweens should feel like a win-win relationship. So sometimes people tell me, Sean, are my kids on screen too much? Sean, what about screen time? What about this? It's so different by age. So different by age. How you talk and think about screens with a 9-year-old should be so different than how you think about it with a 13-year-old.
Right.
And it should feel like a win-win relationship. So what's your question, Mount Dude?
I've noticed the attitudes and behavior from my children when they're on screens are drastically different than when they're off screens. And so we will go into a period where we will turn off screens completely, other than like them sitting on the couch and watching Netflix. No computers and no phones. When we say no screens, that's what we mean.
Okay.
And we'll say you get a week off. Okay, you get 2 weeks off, and they get better and they get better as people, and they're nicer and they're better brothers and sisters, and they're loving. Yeah. So shutting them off completely at this stage of life seems to be working for me. Okay. They're 8. Is that wise, or do I need to go into a more conversation about the why and teaching them?
I'll let you decide if you want to apply any of these tools.
Okay.
But it sounds like you have harmony and you've got some good stuff going on there, right? Okay. I mean, do you feel good?
And we have
do you feel good about your kids' relationship with screens right now? Or do you feel like, no, this isn't good? What all that would mean then is, okay, you're using the tools in your toolbox and you're not satisfied with them. So here's some good news. Those tools, let's put them down and try these new tools. Okay.
So will you help me establish some new tools?
I sure can.
Give us some tools for screen balance.
Okay. Now this is a podcast, so I'm not going to go super deep into these 3 action steps, but because it's a podcast and I have other ways if you want to go deeper, and go more. This is a segment of our club. It's called Ask the Family Coach. Okay. So here's action step number 1. All right. So some tools, parenting tools to move our kids starting at age, I would say 2. You want to start using these tools with your 2-year-old, because your 2-year-old, you are going to give most parents are going to give an iPad to their 2-year-old.
Yeah, to play a game
or their phone for a period of time. Sure. And if you don't, I say that's great. Keep it up and keep it up. Go as long as you can. And okay, the first thing is remember, it's never about what it's about. And one of the things it's really about, it's about trust. So if you're going to give your 2-year-old your iPad or your phone with a couple of childish games on it, or your 7-year-old Minecraft or a Nintendo or an iPad, or your 8th grader, their first iPhone or Google phone or an Xbox, before you do that, you don't want to give a lecture or a pep talk or a scolding. You want to have a really deep conversation with your kids about trust.
That is so big and is so relatable to me right now. So that is so good.
So here's a couple role playing things. In private sessions, I do a lot of role playing. Well, they don't know what trust is. Our kids are never going to take a class on the psychology of trust, how to build it, how to break it, how to repair it. What is it even in? So here's a couple simple tools. So with your young children, you can say, look, I can let you be on my phone for these 10 minutes, but can I trust you to give it back to me right when I say? And they don't know what that means. They're freaking 2 or 5 or 6. You have to understand and teach them what trust is. Just yesterday, I practiced what I preach. I gave my 5-year-old Kenzie the phone, and I said, and I've been doing this for since she was 2, and she's still trying to figure out what trust is and how to have self-control to keep it and why you need to keep trust with your parents. I said, Kenzie, can I trust you? Yes, I trust you, Dad. That's what she said. And we've already had this conversation for 3 years and she still doesn't get it yet. Thank you. No. Can I trust you to not go on any games on my phone? I said, we do games on the weekends. She said, yes. I said, Kenzie, it'd mean a lot to me if you could say, Dad, you can trust me, no games. And
I like that. Putting it back in there.
If a 5-year-old can understand trust, understand how we share trust, understand how this screen that I'm holding in my hand right now, is totally related to trust. What is that going to mean for this 5-year-old's future life?
Yeah.
Right? Isn't that crazy? Right. Amazing.
Amazing. And it's all about repetition. Like you said, like you just got to start it and keep going.
Because now I just filmed a video on this. I coach you all to make trust a regular common word in your home.
Yes.
We all have common words. Some people say words like practice, what's for dinner, common phrases. Make trust, especially with your kids, 12 and under, because if you can do that when you're 12 and under, well, you're putting yourself in for success in your teen years. Because when I say to my kids something about trust, they don't roll their eyes at me, man. They don't snap at me. Why do my kids talk really well with me whenever I bring up the trust topic?
Because you've done it.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Over and over again.
It's what we do in this house. We talk about trust. We build trust. We understand how keeping trusting relationships with each other is good, because if you break your trust with dad, well, there's going to be some emotional consequences and some maybe possible other consequences. And that's a whole different podcast. I'll teach you later about the power of consequences, why almost all traditional consequences are ineffective, why I don't believe in punishments, why I don't teach punishments, but I believe in natural consequences, but most importantly with tweens and teens up, it's emotional consequences of their actions is very powerful.
Okay. Trust is huge. We can all get on board. What happens if that trust gets broken?
It happens all the time. It happened yesterday. Because guess what this little critter did?
She trusts you.
But she did not go on games. But guess what she did? She went on YouTube. And here I am eating a freaking pickle out of Clausen pickles, which I learned that if you like pickles, the ones that are cut in half are actually way tastier than the whole ones.
Oh, okay.
And I said to her, Kenzie, what are you doing? I reacted. And I didn't do my reactions. There's a difference between, and I said, you said I could trust you. She said, Dad, you did. I'm on YouTube. I'm not on games.
I'm not on games.
And then of course I said, no, Kenzie, come on, Kenzie. You know better
weren't
than
clear.
This.
She's
weren't
5. Clear,
you know, trusting means I need to be able to trust you. Though you were just going to be on music. And then I use some of these other tools, which I'm going to share with you now. So what do you do if trust is broken? Well, you don't go to consequences. You continue to teach and model and talk about trust, and you give them emotional consequences, which leads me to action step number 2. Any questions about the first?
Go ahead. Number 2
is action step number 2 is whenever you're talking about screens, you've got to speak from your heart. I teach my clients how to have a heart talk, is what I call it. It's incredible. And if you can learn how to speak from your heart to your kids about any topic, if you can teach them how to engage their heart and speak from their heart to you, oh my gosh, the world's going to change. And parenting is going to be so much easier and more enjoyable. You're going to see trust and win-win skyrocket.
So let's say you have the trust. The trust is broken. It's time for a heart-to-heart talk to figure out how to teach on this subject, but the child is not ready to have a heart-to-heart talk. Can you offer?
So so that's for
a consequence, like maybe go to you're ready until you're ready to talk. You need to go to your room.
No, they don't need to go to their room. Why can't you just be patient? Just wait until they're ready.
Okay.
Right? You're the adult.
Yeah.
I mean,
even if they did something bad.
Yeah, especially if they did something bad.
And they get to stick around,
especially if they're emotional.
Especially
if they're emotional, you want to be patient.
What if they're like, whatever, it's no big deal.
Oh, I'll show you how to do that. But yeah, just wait. If you have a close connection with your kids, they're gonna want to talk with you. And this is why the more you apply these tools that I'm teaching you, and the more you're going to build trust and connection. So you want to. It's really actually a topic of boundaries, because if you start talking to them or teaching them about screens and you don't have a listener or a learner, why are you wasting your time?
That's what I'm wondering. I had the same conversation with one of my kids last weekend, and they did something bad. And so I'm like, I need to have a heart talk. Why did you do this? I don't know. Okay, well, you're gonna now not be able to use your phone for a long time. Okay,
Okay, so see,
you're gonna be grounded. Okay, that's fine.
okay, so
Okay,
yeah, as you'll see, you're speaking from your head right now and not your
right,
heart.
right. But so then I'm like, but we need to talk about this. Why did you do it? I don't know.
So
Okay, well, you don't know why? Well, okay, well, I'm doing role play here. I'm just
yeah,
so
man.
you don't know why? You're gonna go to your room and sit there, and you're fine. It's all good. We still love you, but until you kind of know why, I just want to know why. What's going on through your mind? I want to know.
Okay.
So just until you're ready to talk, just go sit in your bed and just hang out. It's no big deal, but I really want to know why.
Okay, now
Okay.
if that works for you, then do it. Like I'm not going to tell you like how to parent
It
or
was
not to
tough.
parent.
It didn't work
Yeah.
easy,
I'm
but
not going to correct you or like parent you in a podcast. I'm just going to share some fresh ideas with you. And
right.
occasionally, when you want me to, you're going to set me up and you're going to ask me, what do you think about this? Here's another alternative strategy to what you just did. Okay. Is you say, look,
Whoever.
whoever this child is, hey, why'd you do this? Why'd you break trust? What's going on? I don't know. I don't know.
Right.
And say, okay, well, I really would love to talk to you about it.
Right.
So can we talk now? No. Okay.
Right. I don't know.
Well, all right. Well, I'm going to honor your boundaries. Again, if you say this to an 8-year-old, you're teaching them something.
Yeah.
What are you teaching them?
Right.
You're teaching them what a boundary is, that they have boundaries. You have boundaries. Everyone has boundaries. You're not going to force conversation.
Yeah.
And say, but yeah, let me know when you're ready. And then you wait. And then you wait.
And you just wait. Okay. So I sent them to the room
Because
instead of
why do they need to go to the room? You could say, look, you could say, now if they try to go from like a tablet to a TV, you could say, look, I'm not ready to let you watch TV right now because of what just happened on the screen. So it's all connected.
Yeah.
So you don't have to go to your room, do what you want. But we need to talk about this. So let me know when you're ready. And then you wait. You wait by either you wait 5 minutes, you wait an hour, you wait 5 days. No, 5 hours, or you wait a day because you're the adult and you can be patient.
Okay.
Or you wait for this. Hey, Dad, can you make me a ham sandwich? Hey, Dad, can I have more screen time? Hey, Dad, can you drive me to my sports?
Right.
Hey, Dad, now ask me a question. Pretend to be your kid who just did a reaction, which is called stonewalling or avoidance.
Can I go jump on the trampoline? I'm bored. I'm in my room. Can I go jump on the trampoline at least?
In this situation, I would absolutely say, oh, of course, son, go jump on the trampoline.
Okay.
So no, ask me for something else, like something that they want you.
Can I play with the neighbor?
Oh, okay. That'd be great. I would love to have you play with the neighbor.
Okay, so I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go play.
Yeah. Are they the labor? Do they need you to drive them to the neighbor or just walk over there?
Just walk. They'll just
walk. I think it'd be best for us to talk first before you go play to the neighbor.
Okay.
How does that sound to you, son?
Okay.
Okay. So can we sit down and have a heart to heart?
I'm gonna stand.
Yeah, stand. Yeah, remember, especially with kids like 10 and under, you only want to talk for 10 seconds at a time.
Right. That's right.
So speak from your heart. Hey, son, here's an example, really, really briefly. So I'm kind of feeling kind of hurt about what happened earlier.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I know.
Okay. It kind of now when you're sharing your feelings, you want to be really wise about which feelings you share. I actually share in my classes about which words are better than others. And there's about 6 words that I'm a big fan of. Hurt your feelings, disconnected,
sad,
confused.
Confused.
No, frustrated is not a good word.
Okay.
Disrespected is not a good word. Most parents say you're being disrespectful. That's not going to have good results.
Right.
But even I'm feeling disrespected normally doesn't have good results. These words that I mentioned here, they're very, they provoke curiosity. They're very warm. It's like a soft opener, what Dr. Job Gottman talks about. And it really humanizes you as a human being.
Yeah.
And as your kids get older, I'm going to float a couple deep words for you because I realized one of my big words I never even shared.
Which one?
So I did share the word confused. In fact, right
Yes,
before
you
this,
did.
I was a private session with this alpha male dad out of Brooklyn. And I asked him, what kind of emotions do you get when you think about your kids and screens or all these topics? He said, I feel confused. I was like, hey, me too, man. That is so common. So
That's good.
I'm going to share my big word in a second. But yeah, see, so let's go back into role playing real quick. So yeah, I feel kind of it kind of hurts my feelings, son.
Okay. He'd say, okay.
Okay. I
He won't apologize. He'll just be like, okay.
That's okay. No, you don't want him to apologize. No,
Okay.
this is so much better. So son, it kind of hurts my feelings because, you know, you said I could trust you to be on the screen for this much time and you didn't keep your word.
Right. Yeah, but I only had like 5 more minutes left on the video or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love to have you talk about your feelings kind of next, but can I just tell you what I'm feeling first?
Sure.
So what do you hear me saying, son?
That I made you upset because I stayed on the computer.
No, I'm not upset.
Oh.
And you can't make me feel anything. I have my own feelings. I'm just telling you what I do feel. That's a little caveat there.
I like that. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you didn't want me on it. I went long and
Right. So what am I feeling?
You got mad at me.
No, I'm not mad. See, this is such good acting by Jordan. Everyone can understand what's happening. I don't even need to say it. I will say it. They don't really hear us in the first. He's making his own reality. We're not mad.
Right.
No, son, I'm not mad at all.
Well, then what were you?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I want to have a relationship. We just share feelings with each other. You're older now. You're 8. I said, I feel hurt and it hurts my feelings.
Oh, okay.
And I think I feel sad. Sad's an amazing word to use with teens, kids, tweens, everybody. It's very inviting. They made a whole movie about the power of sadness. It's on Pixar. It's called Inside Out.
Oh yeah, that's
brilliant movie about how we all need sadness and how incredible it is. I feel sad. Maybe you make sure your face matches up, right? What would he say?
I wouldn't have done that.
You have to match up your face.
Okay. He would say, you were sad that I was on the computer?
Exactly. That's what he would say. Because he doesn't understand adults emotions, EQ skills. He doesn't understand the psychology of sadness and how his feelings are impacting you. And when you gave him that kind of cheesy speech about saying to his room, you just made yourself a robot. You just dehumanized yourself.
Okay. That's good. Yeah, we had the talk. Anyway, I'll just sum up. It went well. We used trust. Good. I told him the trust thing. I said, these things are very dangerous. You don't know what you did. You did something that could have been very bad.
Yeah.
You don't need to know what he did, but he just did something that wasn't good on the phone.
Yeah.
And I think I was like, we cannot trust you if you do this. So therefore, we're gonna have a break from electronics, and then when you trust back up, then we'll do it.
Yeah. Again. So you give him a natural consequence to his actions because he broke trust. He didn't have self-control, and he refused to talk with you. So yes, I can see how you did that. I can give you a few tools that I think would even be more effective than that, and that's kind of what I'm doing now. Hard talk. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do something super weird and wild and wacky, but it's so amazing. And I really can't get into the details of this right now. We're going to say, so son, what do you hear me saying now? We're reflecting. We're inviting him to be an active listener. So son, daughter, what do you hear me saying?
That you were sad that I went long on the computer.
Yeah, because I want to have a trusting relationship with you. We're like, you can trust me to go to work and love you and make money and do these things. And I can trust you with these screens and, being a good listener and
obeying
when I tell you to do something.
Being a good,
right?
Being a good.
And it hurts me. It just hurts my feelings. When we have broken trust and I want to rebuild it. So remember, this is not about screens.
Right.
And this same tool can be used. This is not weird at all. This is not manipulated. This is not gaslighting. This is a human being sharing their feelings with another human being.
Yep.
And now doing something which is very, very modern, very human, very normal. I'm going to ask an 8-year-old to show me some comfort and some care. Super weird. Totally
That is
normal.
so weird.
Because if we can teach an 8-year-old to show comfort and care and build trust with his old man, what does that mean for his life?
Right.
Right? We're not
But
raising
now,
kids here.
after I get the child to understand
So here's
hear
two
me.
things. So one, we're not going to, for the sake of time, we're going to fast forward through this. I actually have a class on how to have a heart talk where you can see me do more role playing with other parents in live scenarios with them. So yeah, we're going to invite him to show us empathy, show us kindness, show us gentleness, show us comfort. Isn't that wild? Because he's capable of doing that. He's never going to take class on these things.
Right.
And then here's what you could say. We're going to ask him to say, hey, Dad, what can I do to build trust? What can I do to help you feel better? And so, you know what would mean a lot to me, son? Just look me in the eye and say, Dad, I really, in your own way, say, Dad, I want to keep trust with you. And I'm really going to do work harder at keeping trust with you with screens. If you guys say that to me, I mean, it would help me to feel so much better. And it would be so cool, man. Would you say something like that to me?
He'd go, okay. What do you want me to say again?
Okay, yeah. No, that's because he's 8.
Right, of course.
And he's 15. It's the same reason why if you're taking batting practice, you don't hit the ball the first time if you're like 8. Yeah. So what we're doing here is we're emotion coaching our kids.
Yeah.
So here is one of the most important parts of action step number 2, speaking from your heart. Almost no parent is doing this.
Right.
They are giving lectures or pep talks. And you kind of sounds like you gave your son a little mini one about how these things are dangerous, which sounds like really great parenting. And it's not a lecture or a pep talk, but so many parents, what they do is they just try to lecture or pep talk their kids into healthy relationship with screens. And if you've ever done that, you're seeing how wildly unsuccessful it is.
Yeah.
You really want to see your kids thrive with screens or drugs, which is actually the same thing. You actually have to really open up your heart and speak from your heart to them and help them understand the psychological complexities of trust and boundaries and fear and human connection with screens. Boom. Deep stuff, huh?
Deep stuff. I've learned
so
much.
Deep.
I'm sure everybody's learned so much.
Oh my gosh. I love this episode, man. And the last thing is, especially with older kids, action step number 3 is you actually listen from your heart.
For what they have to say.
Because they have power and they have stuff to say.
Yes.
Why do you want to be on the screen at age 12? What are you feeling? Like what's going through? And you want to teach them how to speak from their heart and really listen from your heart. Because as we'll do a whole episode on listening skills one day, it's kind of funny. It's actually a math problem. Think of a math. Start with good listening skills, and let's bake a cake. Let's add some trust to it. Let's add some empathy. Let's add some emotional safety. Let's ask some really good, juicy questions. Let's ask for, active listening. And you add all that up, and what do you get?
E equals MC squared.
You get kids that are going to talk more to you.
Yes, you do.
And then what happens is you hear more crap you don't want to hear.
Right.
You hear how they're different than you. They don't want to follow your rules. They have different values than you. They don't care about screens the way you do. And then what happens next?
You learn to figure out how to parent that.
You put that, pushes your buttons.
Yes, it does.
And then now you have to realize, okay, now that I'm hearing all this stuff from my 17-year-old, I'm very emotional. What do I say? What do I do? That's for another episode. So, great episode, man.
I think those tips are really wise, and just learning from that one little example, I think a lot of us can relate to. Mm-hmm. And it's just now all about us putting it into action and making sure we can remember the simple steps. It's about trust, have the heart talk, and of course, listen from your heart. The hard talk's going to be very tough to polish, but it takes
Well,
practice.
the reason why it's hard for our
Start.
generation is because we don't have, most of us didn't have any, as men, we don't have any role models. Our dads never modeled for us how to speak from their heart or how to listen to someone's heart, right?
And coming full circle on this, Sean, I'm just going to
Mhm.
say, us going into a more screen-driven society, there's probably going to be less heart talking in general.
Oh, dude, so deep, man. That's a different, I just keep saying that. That's a whole different episode. It's so deep. Yeah. So, yes, it's really about that heart connection. And that's kind of some good news, Jordan. Here's the truth. These screens are never going to replace the truest and the best parts of human existence. They're never going to be better than having a great meal with friends with no screens, or barbecuing together, breaking bread, camping trips, laughing together on the beach, snuggling with your kid, reading your children's a book, watching your son throw his last pitch of his varsity baseball game, right? These things are no drug, no pot, cocaine, no screen, no freaking Snapchat, no alcohol, nothing is ever going to replace the beauty and the power of the truest forms of the human experience of love and being loved, and loving God or your God, and being loved by your God or God, and just experiencing faith, hope, and love. Those things will never die.
Amen to that.
Oh, dude. So, hey, thank you, Jordan, for another episode. Thank you for listening, everybody. Stay strong, be close, and teach wisdom. And Jordan and I will see you next time.
Yes, we will.